Back to the show as we continue our discussion on the framework for a nuclear deal with Iran announced in Switzerland last week. In a moment, we will talk with Mohammed Marandi in Tehran. But first, let's check in with our correspondent, Marcus Sheff, who is in Tel Aviv. And Marcus, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has been very vocal in his criticism of this deal. He wants to undo it. He's totally opposed to it. What can we expect? Is he going to engage in an all-out effort to undermine the deal, to get rid of it?
Well, I think we've already seen the beginning of a very strong lobbying campaign. We know that his team sat in Jerusalem and they worked on their talking points. We saw Mr. Netanyahu yesterday on the Sunday shows in the United States putting forward his case. Of course, we have to remember that this is a framework agreement and there is much to be discussed, much to be put together before the final deal is in place. So, of course, he and his team are going to be working very hard with the P5+1, the Security Council members plus Germany, to make sure that he gets his point across. And, of course, with the United States Congress, we know that Senator Bob Corker, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Affairs Committee, has said that Congress has to discuss this before the deal is signed off by the United States. So you can imagine that Mr. Netanyahu is going to be talking to a lot of Congress people.
Now, how much support does Mr. Netanyahu have in Israel itself? And are there people in Israel who actually support this deal?
Well, I think there's a lot of support for the position that Iran is a danger to Israel. Israelis have heard Iranian leaders say time after time that they want to wipe Israel off the map. So there's no question in the mind of Israelis about the danger of a nuclear Iran. There is a lot of discussion about style. There is among Israel's elites a lot of opposition to Mr. Netanyahu's discussions with Mr. Obama. They feel that he has been too aggressive. They are worried about the fact that there is, if you like, a breakdown in relationship between the Israeli Prime Minister's office and the White House. So that worries them a lot. But that's more about style than substance. And then, of course, there are some Israeli commentators who think that this is not as bad a deal as it might have been. Mr. Yadlin, General Yadlin, who was the Israel Defense Forces head of military intelligence, said yesterday that it was a better deal than he expected. But then, of course, he also said that he is very worried about the research and development part of it. And he's very worried about the fact that Iran is clearly a key supporter of terror in the region. And that has not come up at all in these talks.
Thanks, Marcus. That's CCTV correspondent Marcus Sheff talking to us from Tel Aviv.